Dan Perot, who you know by now from hearing him on this program many times, is the chairman of the Mike Cox campaign, president of the American Justice Partnership, and was Governor John Engler's chief of staff. Good morning. Good to talk to you again.
Hey, good morning, Michael Patrick. It's nice to speak with you. How are you today?
Well, we're 8 days away from this August 3rd primary here in Michigan. This is, I guess, crunch time, the last week. And what's the mood right now inside the Cox campaign?
Well, we're feeling very upbeat. It's all going to come down to turnout. I think most anyone who's watched this campaign from the beginning, and I mean the Republican primary, that the Cox campaign has put together a very, very good field organization and able to identify our vote and get the vote out. And so I think that's going to be the difference between our campaign and those of the other candidates. And we feel very good about it. I think maybe looking at another 5,200 vote win.
There was a Detroit News poll last week that had the Attorney General with 26.4% of the vote in the lead. Pete Hoekstra, 25.6% of the vote, very close, and then Rick Snyder, 20%. Mike Bouchard, 11.6%, and then State Senator Tom George well behind that. Mike Bouchard said that poll was absolutely useless, and it was conducted under dubious fashion, and that he discounted it entirely. Do you have any sort of polling, maybe internal, that shows exactly where you think you are?
Oh, we do, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Really?
No, I'm not. No, but as I said, we're feeling very good. And I can understand why Mike did what he did. I mean, they're behind, and it's not unusual for campaigns that are behind or get bad public poll data, because public poll data like that has a tremendous impact on a campaign. Mm-hmm. And it can impact your fundraising. It can impact the motivation of your volunteers. And so it's only natural that Mike's going to say that they have different numbers. I seriously doubt that. He's had a very hard time breaking out of the Oakland County, sheriff mold to run for statewide office. This is he did when he ran for the U.S. Senate. So I can't quibble with those. I think he's probably third, fourth place. I think it is really coming down to it's going to be a neck-and-neck race between the congressman from West Michigan and Mike. But again, I like our chances. I think we've got more momentum coming in at the end. We've got the support of the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, the support of Michigan Right to Life, a number of the gun groups, and these are all very important groups to have in the Republican primary.
You've had a very effective television campaign, too, haven't you, in terms of commercials? I mean, the feedback from that Rossman Group event, that survey of lobbyists last week, showed that they felt the Cox campaign was the most effective.
Oh, I think we have been. I've been very pleased with their ads and the folks who are doing them, and I think we've run a very disciplined campaign. I say that's been managed by Stu Sandler, who I think's run just an excellent race, and by the Attorney General. I think Mike Cox has been a great candidate, and he'll make a great governor, and he'll be a very tenacious governor. And I think the ads have done a lot to tell our message, but also to bring up the contrasts between Mike and some of the other candidates. So, yeah, I think they've been very important and very effective.
How important are those endorsements? I think a lot of people were surprised when you got the Right to Life endorsement and the Michigan Chamber endorsement within a day, I think they were, of each other. How important were those two?
Well, I think they're huge, and I think any Republican, whether you're running for the state House, state Senate, governor, attorney general, would love to have those endorsements, because they tell a story to the people of Michigan, and to have the support of Barb Listing and Right to Life is just a tremendous advantage to have, because the men and women who support the Right to Life organization value life, and they see Mike Cox as a champion of that. They're going to get out and vote. They've had a history of doing that. And in a Republican primary, when your vote turnout tends to be lower than in the general election, you'd rather have it than not have it. And I'll take that kind of an endorsement any day of the week over what Rick Snyder's trying to do and trying to reach out to Democrats and independents. That may have worked 10 years ago in a primary when there was no Democrat running, but that's a strategy for failure in a primary.
Well, but Democratic voters don't really cross over and vote on the Republican side in a primary unless it's to cause trouble. Isn't that true?
That's very true. And as I said, that 10 years ago when John McCain won the presidential primary here in Michigan, President Bush actually actually did win the Republican primary. It's just a number of Democrats decided to come over and vote. Mm-hmm. They had no other candidate to vote for. Well, they've got a pretty spirited primary going on themselves there between, Lansing's mayor and the speaker. And so to suggest that the Democrats are going to leave that and come vote for a Republican, I think sort of it's a real long Hail Mary that's going to fall incomplete.
I'm glad you brought that up because Bill Ballinger is quoted as saying now that he thinks that Virg Bernero is going to win the nomination. He says unless Dillon comes up with some kind of bomb, some kind of money we didn't know he had, he sees the tide running inexorably away from Dillon all of a sudden. I mean, I know you're a Republican, but what do you make of that?
Well, I think Bill's putting his stock in trade in looking at where the unions have come down, and the big unions, the auto unions and the teacher unions who have been the big muscle players here in Michigan politics for a long time. They've come down for the mayor, and one would have to say that in a tight primary, it's good for a Republican to have right to life on their side. You want those unions on your side if you're a Democrat, and so I think maybe that's where Bill is looking at is in terms of their turnout mechanism, their ability to get their members out for Virg Bernero. So I think that gives them a chance. I haven't followed that primary that much. I mean, I'm focusing on us, but I think it's going to be a very close race. And no, I wouldn't be surprised if Virg Bernero were to win the primary. He didn't have a lot of money. But then these groups are going to apparently said they're going to spend a lot of money on his behalf. And with a week to go, you want to be able to outspend your opponent. And if they're going to be able to do that, then you've got to like his chances.